Hello, this is Greg Smalley on Pod 366, joined today by a couple of fellas, Giles Edwards,
Hello.
and below me, or yes, below me, L. Rob Hubbard.
Hello.
And we are planning on having some bonus content at the end of this recording that I can't actually announce yet because we don't know if everything's going to go according to plan. However, if you're watching this, just skip to the end. You'll know because it will be in the description that we have a special bonus content. Up top, I also wanted to mention that our book will be coming out sometime in 2024, as I have a early proofed, just barely pre-text locked copy that I'm combing over for any last errors. And we'll have more information on that later. And I'm going to, for the last thing, mention that our voting for the Weirdcademy Awards for 2023 movies is still open and closing on Sunday. So if you're only allowed to vote once. If you have, Giles just left because he was so disgusted with that announcement. Oh, he's back. So if you haven't voted yet, you still have this weekend to do it, and the winners will be announced on Sunday. And I'm going to sneak peek the early voting here, so you can see that weirdest movie is not that competitive a race right now. But I will say weirdest actress is even less competitive a race. And if you've seen the candidates, you can probably guess who's running away with that one. However, weirdest actor and weirdest scene and weirdest short are all competitive categories still. Just out of curiosity, did you guys vote, and would you care to share your anonymous vote?
Yes, I did vote. I think for weirdest picture, I put my anonymous weight behind Leda there, which is running well behind everything but two others. So that's all right though. I think a lot of that has to do with how many people have seen this movie.
Right. That's true. Not a lot of people have seen Lita, and not a lot of people have seen Once Within a Time, and yet it still managed to get 5 votes. Robert, did you vote, or would you vote?
I I think I have. I remember at the time there were a couple that I hadn't seen yet that I was waiting to see, and I think I have to go back and vote. I honestly can't recall if I did vote or not.
If you were
Which
looking at this, if you hadn't voted and you're looking at this slate right here, what would you vote? What would your finger go to immediately, or your mouse?
well, so, which is why I'm thinking that I have, because looking at this slate, I would probably throw my lot behind Beau is Afraid.
Okay. And that is indeed the one that is leading rather handily. A little bit of a surprise for me that The Boy and the Heron does not have a single vote out of the 60 plus votes cast. This year, in previous years, people could vote more than once. This year, the security is much better. People can only vote once, which is why we have.
Oh, so that's my Lita vote right there.
So there's one vote for Lita, you know who voted, and you vote, you know who voted for it.
I looking at that selection, I probably would venture to say that Boy and the Heron is probably the least weirdest
No. No,
on that slate.
I agree with you there, L. Rob.
It may indeed be. Still thought somebody, since it's been seen more than a lot of the other ones, I still thought somebody would vote for it. And I will say that one of these movies on this list we're going to be talking about a little bit later, not in great detail. But there's that 366weirdmovies.com. You can search for it, find it. It's fallen to page 2 now. So if you haven't voted yet, there's that. And tune in Sunday instead of watching the Oscars.
Do we have a 3.5-hour program lined up
We do not.
for them, Greg?
We do not. We do not.
Mm.
Absolutely none of these people have agreed to come on and talk about their win. If Lita won, I bet we could get him to come on and talk about it, but they got a long way to go. But we're going to start off the show proper with some news here. We're looking at a still of 2 people. I think you probably all know who the 2 people are. On the left is a rather attractive, smiling brunette, and on the right is a man in a fuzzy pink suit with I don't know are those flamingos that are supposed to be decorating?
Oh, I bet those are, yeah, those are
Um,
resting flamingos, yeah.
And a
Pink
pencil
ones
mustache.
at that.
Yeah, and a rather sly smile. That would be John Waters, and the lovely lady is Aubrey Plaza, comedian and actress. And I assume you fellows know why these 2 are appearing together.
Something special's coming after a 20-year gap.
Has it
New
been
water
20
show.
years?
That's what they say, and I believe it. Yeah, there's something new from the gentleman on the right.
And the lady on the left.
Well, yeah, I think
Oh.
she's had more recent
In 2022, John Waters wrote what I believe was his first novel called Liar Mouth, about a sociopathic suitcase thief. And apparently Aubrey Plaza read it and said, I have to star in that. You have to make that. And I think she, with her persona is rather, snarky and sardonic. So I think she's an excellent match for John Waters. Also, one of the bigger stars he would ever have had in one of his movies. And we believe that will be coming out in the future, assuming the 77-year-old Mr. Waters can make it through the filming. Guys, thoughts on this one? I'm looking forward to it, certainly.
I think it's one of a role that she was born to play, considering like her previous characters. I'm kind of ambivalent with John Waters, although it's been so long since his last film. I was like genuinely excited to hear that this was. It hasn't started yet. I think they're just on the verge of shooting, probably within the next month or so. It sounds like, but I would be genuinely excited to see this when it's done. I'm guessing probably either we'll see it in 2025, maybe 2026, depending on scheduling and such. But yeah, I wonder if there'll be another role for Mink Stoll there, since she's.
Oh, yeah, she was very good in a movie I saw her recently. Or yeah, I saw them recently in
Alchemy.
Yeah,
Alchemy of the Spirit. The Baldur's. Yeah. Okay.
Sort of a normal character cameo thing that was nailed precisely. She had a wonderful kind of moment right at the end, just when things were finally working out, that just perfectly encapsulated the tension that had built at that moment. It was a very small part, but very well, as one would expect from Mink Stoll, memorably portrayed there.
Oh, good. I haven't seen that one, but she's been. I guess Steve Balderson, the writer director, he's been utilizing her for like the past decade in his project. So keeping the flame going. So.
And yeah, I'm certainly always happy to see Mr. Waters do something. I actually, the first movie of his I saw was Cecil B. Demented, back, I think shortly after it was available for rental. I think I even owned a DVD of it, and that did have some big names of the day: Melanie Griffith, Stephen Dorff, and even Alicia Witt. I think that stands as probably his biggest sweep of contemporary talent. So it's good that some younger people are now going to be learning under this master of his particular realm of expertise.
Well, I think what was it? Dirty Shame had Tracy Ullman and Johnny Knoxville. And
Okay,
Selma Blair, I believe.
yeah, Tracy Ullman, Chris Isaac. Yeah, I got that up here too. Yeah, Johnny Knoxville, Mink Stoll, of course. So yeah, those were some. Those are people whose names people know, to be sure. But that I don't think Cecil B. Demented did terribly well, and I believe A Dirty Shame did, shall we say, that much worse.
Yeah, well, when you get them rated NC-17, they tend to.
That works against a lot. Yeah.
Well, all right, let's move on. That's certainly an announcement that I think will excite lots and lots of people. This one we've talked about extensively, just really an announcement that it is now on VOD for this week and next week. I think March 7th, it will be free on Hulu. So you can either pay for it now, or if you have a Hulu subscription, wait a week and then see Poor Things, released, of course, to capitalize on its impending Oscar fortunes. Hopefully it will win something and they'll be able to pump it that way. Not sure what its fortunes are in the Oscars. I think it's going to do well in the Weirdcademy. It's going to win at least one Weirdcademy Award. In the Oscars, best shot is Best Actress, where I think everybody sees Emma Stone and Lily Gladstone running pretty much neck to neck right now. Maybe the most competitive race in the entire Oscars. And so if you haven't seen Poor Things yet, here's your chance. Have you guys seen Poor Things yet?
No, but I'm actually on the hook with a friend of mine with whom I've occasionally done a very casual podcast with, where we both haven't seen it, and we're both going to watch it and then get on a meeting to talk about it. So I will be seeing that very soon and paying for it because I don't have Hulu.
Well, you could always, and people, since Hulu isn't a sponsor, I will advise people to simply sign up for 1 month, watch Poor Things, binge whatever else you can, and then drop it. Now, Hulu, if you want to sponsor the podcast, then I will advise people just to buy Hulu and stream their great content forever. Otherwise,
we're waiting by our phones, Hulu.
Yeah, it's almost getting one of those subscriptions for 1 month, as long as you remember to cancel, is almost as cost effective as just renting it straight out. And if there are two things you want to see, definitely get a 1 month subscription. Okay, Giles. Well, when you do that, let us know, and we'll give you some nepotism.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you.
And Robert, go see it.
I plan to. Actually, I have not seen it yet. I did, however, managed to pick up the novel, which I just started, and probably will. I'm not sure if I'm going to see it before the ceremony, but I guess be in a better position to see how the adaptation, how it fared in the adaptation, and I'll rent it off as streaming. I believe that in April it should be available on Blu-ray as well. So.
Yeah, I think it may even be in March. I have the
or
date.
March, late March or April. So, yeah.
Well, yes. So a lot of people have seen Poor Things already, and if you haven't, here's your chance to get caught up. And something else you can get caught up on, which is a little bit tougher sell and maybe a little bit tougher to see, excuse me, is This one, where we have a still of Bella Thorne there in a tight leotard, form-fitting leotard, facing off with many women similarly clad, a black and white shot. And this is a movie that Giles and I have previously talked about, Divinity, also now on VOD and Blu-ray. I think it may have been on VOD before. It's now on Blu-ray. And we've talked about this, a sci-fi dystopian would-be cult film. And I don't think the term would-be cult film is an insult. I don't have a problem with people deliberately making a film with cult sensibilities. Very weird at the ending. As I said, Giles and I have discussed it before, but Robert, have you seen Divinity?
I did. I saw this earlier, and I think I discovered that I have a vague connection to one of the people involved in this, the AD and associate producer. So I guess originally worked in Kansas City, and I crewed with him on a feature film, God, well over a decade ago. And so he's in LA now. Johnny Stark, I guess, is his name if you pay attention to the credits. But I didn't know that at the time. I remember you and Giles talked about this, so I was rather interested in seeing this. And it's definitely a cult item. I like the look of it, and and again, it's surprising. I guess you can get into the plot, but Scott Bakula makes an appearance as Stephen Dorff. I kind of am half embarrassed to say, like, I didn't know who Bella Thorne was. I knew the name, but it's just sort of like, meh. It's interesting, and I think in the last part, there's like a really great stop motion fight.
Yes.
That's actually kind of that's, to me, I think is actually kind of the best part of the film. The problem that I have with it, and it's not that, is that in interviews with the director, he said that that he kind of like put it together with no script, and that's kind of readily apparent with if that kind of thing, if that bothers you or not. It wasn't a deal breaker, but it's just sort of like, it kind of seemed that there were, to me, that there were sort of a through line. And Dorff, nobody's bad. It's kind of, he's interesting in it, and then you have like these non-actors who are sort of doing the soft porn thing, and it's an acquired taste. Let me just, I'll just come down to that. It's worth watching, but I'd have to be kind of like selective as to who I'd recommend it to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
That should be almost all of our movies in theory, at least. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not definitely not for everyone.
Doesn't have that Merchant Ivory feeling I know most of our readers are looking
Definitely, and there is a lot of sex and nudity in it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's well. I guess I buried the lead. I said that's in that, which was a plus for. I guess which was a plus for it. I guess for some people, it's just sort of like. I guess for me, in terms of what the story, there's interesting things about it, but it didn't seem to kind of go. So, as far as like, it didn't seem to go anywhere, and then at the end of it, it was kind of like, that was nice, but yeah. But
yeah, well, no, I can't argue with any of those facts you relay, nor your reaction to it. Yeah, it did work for me. I had the benefit, and as Greg sort of obliquely pointed out with a recent comment on a movie I reviewed just for this week, I have a tendency. I'm probably going to like something if I'm sitting down to watch it. which has made my life as a reviewer easier, even if it's perhaps has compromised my reviewer utility there. I have a knee-jerk reaction to like find the things that I think worked well, and I tend to focus on those just automatically.
Mhm.
But everything you say is very true.
Look, bottom line, if you like weird movies,
Oh yeah, if you
find
like,
it.
I mean, it's definitely a weird. If you like weird movies, I said you may like this. Like I said, there's great thing. It was like a really good visuals. There's a really good visual sense to it. Um, Plus, I saw this like it was like midnight when when I actually started this, so it was just kind of like it. Aside from sort of like some of the nudity, there wasn't very much to kind of keep me awake. Aside from the stop motion fight at the end. So,
yeah,
but that's just me.
the last 20 minutes are truly wild.
Yeah.
Not that the rest of it is, mainstream, but all right, that's enough for talking about Divinity, which you can now get on Blu-ray if you are a fan. We did see on our poll, it only got a couple of votes. Despite being sort of more available than some of the other movies, still not doing well. But let's talk about something that's a bit more mainstream and probably, going to appeal to a wider variety of people. And that is one that, again, we have discussed before, and I think I reviewed positively, although it wasn't weird enough really to be nominated for our weirdest movies of the year, but still a very good, mildly weird movie that you can probably take, a lot of your less adventurous cinema friends to see, or in this case, pop in the Blu-ray since it's now out from A24, and that is Nick Cage in Dream Scenario, the movie in which he plays a sort of nebbish professor who inexplicably starts appearing in everyone's dreams and becomes a celebrity. So it becomes a satire sort of on instant viral celebrity and cancellation, because he does get canceled too. So I know Giles loves Nick Cage and reviewed another Nick Cage movie from 2023, but I do not know if either of you have seen this.
No, I haven't. Yeah, but I haven't yet.
I just watched this recently. It's been sitting around, and I've been meaning to get to it. And I finally did, knowing that we were going to talk about it. I liked it. At first, initially, when the trailers went up, it sounded like it was kind of like Charlie Kaufman light, especially kind of with the setup and being Nick Cage kind of doing his frumpy role. And initially, it almost kind of starts like a Kaufman, very Kaufman-esque, but then kind of goes its own its own thing, especially with the thing in terms of fame and the whole cancellation. The director's previous film called Sick of Myself, which I can't recall if we've covered that earlier or not. I believe it's now playing on the Showtime network, so people are interested in this. That's a good way to check that out. Similarly, it's kind of it also is about sort of like about fame and cancellation. That one is about a woman who gets jealous that her untalented artist boyfriend is getting like all this attention, so she starts injuring herself to kind of get this attention, and she becomes a sensation. Similarly, in this, Nick Cage starts appearing in people's dreams. It's never explained. No reason. He just starts appearing in people's dreams, And at first he kind of starts taking advantage of it, and people try to kind of like monetize it. And that changes as he in the dreams, he's just sort of there, not doing anything. And then as it progresses, his dream self starts getting more, I guess, more aggressive, murderous, even, and that starts affecting him, how people react to him in real life.
Okay. Yeah.
I
Okay.
like,
Oh,
like I said, it's not where I was. Again, it's not quite where I was expecting. I was expecting it to be kind of more sort of like Kaufman light, and fortunately it kind of went into its own thing. And it's surprised, there are people, Julianne Robertson, who plays his wife, is very good. There's also other familiar faces. Tim Meadows from Saturday Night Live has a small role, and Michael Cera. So if you haven't seen this yet, I wholly recommend that you go that you go out and pick it up. So
Yeah, I kind of thought Nick Cage might sneak in a nomination for this one, but I guess in the regular Academy Awards, but I guess they were just too crowded. He does do some of his best work really in it. He's not he's very restrained for most of it. So there's a Talking Heads reference too that I may enjoy. All right, Giles, you need to see that as
apparently I do. I shall. Well, yeah.
Professed Nick Cage fan, I would say. He's writing it down. He's just going out of
Making
frame.
it official.
Okay. So that's Dream Scenario. Another one that's out on Blu-ray is this one. Giles loves to describe stills for us. So why don't you describe what you see? I haven't let you do that yet. So.
All right. We are looking at a cartoon drawing of a fellow a bit stylized, a bit playing with the cheerier side of the grotesque kind of overtones here. A gentleman in a black suit jacket, sort of upright 1950s style NASA guy haircut going on there, thin black tie. And he's holding his jacket open, and it looks like he's operating an unclear machine, but in the center of the foreground, extended toward us, the viewer, he is presenting on the palm of his hand something that looks very much like a human heart.
What I think is going on there is the thing you're looking at and thinking is a machine looks like a safe door.
Oh, yes.
Opened up a safe door from his chest and probably pulled out his heart and is now presenting it to the camera. And this is
from a Bill Plympton feature film, The Tune.
His debut from 1992, which I confess, although being a Bill Plympton, mild Bill Plympton fan, I love what I've seen of his, but I just haven't seen a lot. I have not seen this one. Have you guys seen it?
No.
I have not. I remember when this came out theatrically, and I've seen some of Plympton's other works, shorts and features, but I've not seen the Tune as of yet, until it just became more available. So I do plan on grabbing this from Deaf Crocodile, who, from what I understand, it's been remastered, and I believe they also include some of Plympton's shorter works, which is great that it's becoming more widely available. Previous to this, most of his other work, I believe that he was releasing some of it by himself, so it's been kind of hard. So it's been kind of hard to get. But I hope this is going to be the start of more of his features that they'll be doing over the next few years.
Yeah, I wanted to point out one of the shorts is not there are three Plympton original shorts. And then there is one that, from the description I gather, they took an old Winston McKay silent film, Dreams of a Rarebit Fiend, which is one of the early sort of experimental, sort of surrealist films, but more of a comedy. And Plympton has remastered it and done some dubbing for it. So sort of made it his own, because there was no dialogue in the original, and that sounds really cool and exciting.
Well, is this Winsor McKay of the Gertie the Dinosaur?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
The turn of the century one of the earliest cartoon
Yeah.
cartoons.
Yeah, thank God, my film degree is proving its worth once again.
And that silent piece is definitely worth tracking down in any form. I would like to see this dubbed version, but it's definitely worth seeing some early practical effects of a flying bed and things. You'll marvel, just as they did in 1913, I think, when it came out. So yeah, that's The Tune, which is now out on Blu-ray from Deaf Crocodile. And as Robert mentioned, Plympton has done a great work and has a big fan base, but I think his stuff just hasn't been well distributed over time, which is really a shame. I think he hasn't leveraged his fan base as much as he could, because he's actually probably turned up the pace of how he's cranking stuff out now in his later years. He got off to a fast start with a lot of shorts that were featured on MTV that made him famous, and then he never quite broke through. I'm not really sure. I mean, animation fans know who he is. I'm not sure in the general public he's that well known anymore.
He's more known in terms of like festivals and animation festivals, especially in Europe. Especially like most of the features, I guess have gotten better distribution overseas than here than in this country recently. I I know that that he keeps busy, but like again, like most of the work he was like doing it on his own, so that's really hard if you're trying to produce work and also kind of being able to distribute your own films. So, like I said, I hope this kind of raises the at the time the Tune did get theatrical distribution, and for its feature did very well. Like I said, I hope this leads like so many other things, like people kind of like rediscover it and kind of like look for more of it. So.
Well, his latest was certainly most enjoyable. I've seen two Plimpton. I saw a slide via Slam Dance this year, which is I think what I saw was actually the actual final cut with the previous festival it had been at. It wasn't necessarily massaged fully into position. And a bit ago, I watched and reviewed I Married a Strange Person from the late 90s, which was very good and very strange. So I'm hoping that at least availability of past work becomes more prevalent, so that I might better acquaint myself with this particular brand of odd humor.
And of course, his Idiots and Angels is a canonized weird film on our site, and I don't think it's any big surprise or spoiler to suggest that some of his other features may end up sliding into that Apocrypha slots, those many available Apocrypha slots, and perhaps even this movie we're looking at right now. So, gentlemen, what I propose we do right now is take a short break and come back if you guys are available to discuss 3 more films, and then tacked on even after that, we will have some planned bonus content of the exact nature we're not 100% sure of now, but there will be something. All right. So we're going to take a brief pause, you won't notice it at all, and we'll be back. And we are back to cover a few more movies before launching into our bonus content. You guys didn't even notice we're gone, although the Robert's angle may be slightly different.
Bad
But
continuity. Ironic.
yes,
No. It's a problem you haven't. The house rotated slightly behind you. It's not in your control. We understand.
we need a continuity expert on this podcast to
You can only find
fix stuff
yes.
like that. Only somebody knows.
That's our main problem is lack. Yes.
And marketing. We need a marketing expert and a sponsor. So
Hulu.
But we're going to talk about a few more releases that are even less readily available to most of you before we launch into our bonus content. But let's start with okay, so Giles, I'm going to give you a chance again to describe what we're looking at. Use your powers of visual calculus to explain.
All right. Front and center, young woman, Lolita style, in a particularly Asian capacity, as is popular in a subculture there. Pink frills, parasol, kind of unhappy expression, hard to say from the quality of the image, but front and center, pink and frilly. She's standing on a pathway, and kind of flanking her, both kind of on the field and floating through the air, are, of course, various cabbages, which are largely obscuring other person forms of differing levels of eccentricity and lengths of forward lengths of hair. And this is a fieldscape for a screen capture, maybe, definitely a promotional arrangement of all the madcap individuals involved in the motion picture Kamikazee Girls.
All right, and just a couple of things I wanted to add. Did you mention that it's raining cabbages?
I mentioned the cabbages. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
I'm very impressed with that description. It's very accurate. The first thing that came to my mind was like, what an ugly DVD cover, but
I do. So no one freaks out. I want to point out when we say Lolita, if you're not familiar, there is an unfortunately named subculture in Japan that's called Lolita fashion that has nothing to do with the Nabokov novel or with the
implications of the term.
Yeah, it is, but it has to deal with young people dressing up sort of as Victorian. It's very stylized characters from Victorian England, very doll-like, and for some reason it became a thing in Japan I think in the 90s and early 2000s for young women to dress like this. And I do think the name is unfortunate, but so don't freak out over the logo.
Yeah, at least not about that. Having recently watched the trailer for this,
well,
there may be other things to save your freak out for.
Let's discuss the trailer. So this is a Japanese comedy from 2004 that has been released on Blu-ray for the first time in the United States, and none of us have seen it, and we only have the trailer to go by, and it is a comedy about this girl who is into Lolita fashion and the friendship she makes with another high school girl who is into sort of American biker chick culture. And it's a comedy. It's a wacky comedy. What were your guys' impression of the trailer?
Giles?
You go ahead, Rob.
Well, just discussing this, as he'll probably tell you, Giles made the remark after watching the trailer that it looks both amazing and
insufferable.
Insufferable. Thank you. And I completely agree. It looks really interesting, and it's probably going to be a really good film. Looking it up and explain the whole Lolita thing, which actually makes some of the few films I've seen from the period make a little bit more sense to me than they did at the time. This is based on a manga, and it's probably a really good adaptation. But my reaction is kind of like my reaction to like Scott Pilgrim and Assassination Nation, where they're really good for the time. But there's just something that I'm not connecting with, or it's just like really off-putting. And I doesn't mean that it's a bad film. It's just sort of like I'm just kind of like, nah, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, and obviously with the trailer, we're quite probably getting a distillation of
Yeah.
the zaniness that is being pursued here. But there's also, all things considered, a chance that it might just be a feature length of that degree of bombardment, because I have seen a few things like that, and I think, and I say this with no judgment and no particular reason behind it, but many of those things have been from Japan, that there's a sort of, it's set to 9 at the
Mm-hmm.
start and will occasionally play with 10, but never really go below 9 throughout
Yeah.
the thing. So it's one of those, you have to be ready. Like, oh, Speed Racer, the Coen siblings adaptation would be
Mm-hmm.
one of the few, but that was obviously very much done in the style of
Yeah.
Japanese cinema, and of course the source material. So
Yeah.
I am intrigued.
Like I said, I'm not saying that it's bad. And actually, if I once I actually watched it, I'd probably think that it was great. I'm just kind of like, I again with that sort of in that style. There's something about it that I can respect it, but there's just something about it that I don't really like, and I can't put my finger like Scott Pilgrim, for
Hmm.
instance. I In terms of insufferable, that's just something I've never been able to kind of get all the way through. But that's kind of more on me rather than like the filmmaker. Well, I'd say material, but
Yeah, I guess, yeah, with any movie, you try to meet somewhere between the filmmaker and the viewer, and
mhm,
sometimes the viewer has to go a little further than might be preferred.
okay. But definitely anybody watching this, I'd recommend pick it up, check it out. Tell us what you think.
Yeah. I did manage to see, looking up the director, Tetsuya Nakashima, I have seen I think it's his latest movie, actually. I saw that my first or second Fantasia. It was this very cool supernatural horror sort of thing called It Comes. Came out
Mm,
in
mm,
2018, and that was ultimately what I describe as a very good movie. It's a bit over 2 hours, and the first 45 minutes becomes borderline insufferable in this weird kind of Japanese family melodrama stupid thing, which I find out I sat through and survived to discover, okay, that was absolutely pivotal to set up the rest of this increasingly bizarre stuff going on. And so at the end, with a very big finale, it's definitely lived up to its title because it came and it was just massive.
So yeah, this is very high energy. It's
huh,
probably
yeah.
aimed at a younger demographic than us, than younger than even Giles, who is the youngest. Oh,
Yes,
the youngest.
the chipper young 41-year-old sitting here.
Chipper Young. So, it's from 2004, aimed at a young demographic, and it's got, mixes animation. There's live action mixed with animation. There are guys punching the camera, and not much of a sense of a plot beyond just these two unlikely girls forming a friendship. And of course, it's Japanese. So, uh, there you go. But the next two movies we're going to discuss are quite the pivot away from that tonally, and sadly not released in the United States, at least yet.
Hmm.
And our resident Zuwalski expert and fanatic, Robert, is probably going to talk. Yeah, he's got that. My first thing about this is Robert, you've done some research into this. I know there was a box set released by Eureka, correct?
Right. It came out like
Which we discussed.
yeah, earlier, and that was sort of a limited, like a limited edition box set. No, with notes, with the booklet of notes. And Eureka, I guess, is kind of like reissuing standard editions now, with the three films: Third Part of the Night, The Devil, on one disc, and on the second disc, on the Silver Globe. Pretty much from what I understand, they're exactly like what the limited release editions. It's just that it does not come with the booklet. I think they kind of split up notes between the two in a much smaller form with either of the disc. But other than that, everything's identical.
And were there other movies in the set, or was it just this three?
Just this three, and again, it's UK, but it's Region 2. So if you're here to play them, you need to have an all-region player. That might that could change. The North American distributor Mondovision, who was known for putting out editions of Zuwalski's films, they were promising for years to release this trilogy. And so far, the only thing that came out after this set came out and before Christmas, they changed the heading on their site saying that they're going to do Blu-ray of On the Silver Globe. And usually when Mondo does their stuff, that should be all region. Sometime out this year, maybe. Mondo's kind of like notorious for like having announced things for like 3 or 4 years that everyone waits for until they get released.
Well,
but
go ahead and describe, if you will, then the movies quickly, since we've already discussed it. So
it's pretty much early Zuwalski. If you're just familiar with them via Possession, these are the first his first and second feature and his fourth feature film. I said, and they're just, if you thought that Possession was intense, this will be 10 times at least as intense as Possession. This is unfiltered Zuwalski. It's great. It's exhausting.
tonally quite as dark as Possession in general.
Very much so. And past this, Third Part of the Night is actually kind of like a post-World War II film, and which is kind of also sort of based in fact. An element of the story is factual. The other part of the film is not your typical post-war Polish film. Kind of goes more into the psychological areas. The Devil, his second feature, which you could class it as horror. Probably, it's kind of set in medieval Poland, where this this unknown figure, frees this guy from an asylum, brings him back to his home, and where he starts to commit havoc. Got him kicked out of Poland because they saw it as not, it was a veiled allegory as to events that were occurring in Poland in 1968. As that got him thrown out of Poland the first time. Went to France, did a feature film with Romy Schneider. Then the Polish government asked him back to do a film, and he did on the Silver Globe, which is based on a trilogy that his great uncle wrote near the turn of the century, called the Lunar Trilogy, which only became, it's now available in English translation, I guess, for the first time. That came out a couple of years ago. You can look it up if you're interested. But his great uncle wrote this science fiction trilogy about astronauts who go off to the moon, as set in the trilogy. Obviously, in the adaptation, it's set on it elsewhere. And sort of like the civilization that kind of builds up into this religious allegory. He decided to adapt that, and it's, if you could kind of, I guess, speculate something that would have been on the level of like Wodorowski's Dune, had he been able to do it. So this got much further than that, but even this wasn't finished due to circumstances. The Polish government shut the production down and didn't get finished until 10 years later in 1987. Also very intense. If you're into like things like Dune, this is very much in that, I guess, in that realm. Visually, it's striking. Don't go and expect, if you're expecting like big effects, you're not going to get them here. There are some things that are pretty impressive, but there's no opticals or what you would expect to see in a science fiction epic. And be prepared for lots of people screaming, shouting, reciting lines at the very top of their it's great, but it's an exhausting watch, but it's wonderful.
And does it, since it wasn't actually completed by Zuwalski on time, does it hang together as a coherent movie experience?
It does. When they went back to shoot this additional stuff, pretty much people had died and things were scattered. So they shot in like contemporary Poland, and there's these little interstitials, and then over this footage, he basically kind of narrates what the scene would have been. So like you said, like about 1/6 of it what they weren't able to shoot, and that's just completely gone. But it does hold together very, very well. And it's kind of like an adaptation of the first two books of the trilogy, although there's a little bit of the third. But the third book that was in the trilogy had to do with more political situation in Europe at the time. So there's only like a smattering of that, but it is pretty much the entire trilogy just kind of condensed into this like 2.5 hour epic. Yeah, it's an epic.
Great. So yeah, I super hope this gets released in the United States. I think they're all, well, on the Silver Globe, was it released in the United States ever?
Yeah, it didn't get over here. It showed in Cannes in like 1988 as kind of like special presentation. It was kind of a special presentation when they did the restoration like 10 years ago in like 2015, 2016. It did play some dates in theaters with the whole with Zuwalski's other films that had also been like remastered and restored. There was like a really like 10 years ago, there was like this really crappy disc that they got from like a bad print from the, I guess, Polish the film thing in Poland, since it's all kind of government controlled. It was watchable, but when they remastered it and see it, and you can see it in theaters and disc, it's like the first time you were able to kind of judge like the whole visual visual component to it. This looks gorgeous. Actually, if I would love if they actually did like do like a release of the 4K in like repertory theaters. That's something I would definitely go out to see with an audience.
We need Mondo Vision to get on this, or do what give it up and let Criterion take it.
Yeah, it's been promised. Like the joke was for like the last 4 or 5 years, they were saying that the trilogy was in production, and there were rumors that the company had gone under. And then like right after this box set got released, like I said, like I think before Christmas time, they changed like their cover heading for the cover, one of the posters for On the Silver Globe, and said that it's promised for 2024. That would be great, because like I said, they usually tend to do all region, so it's available to like most everybody. I would expect at least this will be like playable like for North American players. So more people would actually kind of get to see it without having to like bother to upgrade their equipment. So we'll see. I'm hoping like summer, but it'd be nice if they do release it in time for Christmas.
Yeah, hope so. Giles, you've been quiet for a long time. Any questions?
Just looking at stuff in the background, going to Blu-ray.com, and yes, they on the Silver Globe Blu-ray, early 2023 release for the Region B. And looking up the 1968 Polish political crisis, it might be fun to have a link in the podcast post to that, because that is absolutely fascinating looking. And if it's referenced obliquely, even from in one of these films you've been talking about, Rob, I can see why he might have run into a lot of trouble.
Actually, for those, if you go to the site 366 Weird Movies, do a search for Zuwalski, and you should pull up some of the capsules that I did on these earlier. And the one for the devil, I guess, kind of does have like details kind of behind like the whole devil situation. So
All right, well, I'll tell you what, let's take a break and come back with our bonus content. And if we end here, then you at home will know something went wrong with our bonus content. So we are going to pause and hopefully be right back. Okay, see you soon.
okay.
And we're back, and we are going to have our promised special bonus content surprise, which is a short interview with the busy filmmakers from hundreds of Beavers, Mike Cheslik, and man, the guy's got 4 names.
Yeah, and Mike only has 2. One of them shortened.
Give me his name again.
Ryland, Brickson, Cole, Tews.
Starring Cole.
I imagine there should be some numbers after that, but you know.
Ryland, Brickson, Cole, Hughes, the third, Esquire. But they are going to come on, and they are very humorous individuals, so that will make a excellent. So let's just right now introduce the movie, since most people probably haven't seen it, and our interview, of course, doesn't describe it, but it's a black and white comedy, semi-silent, and slapstick. And Robert, take it away with the plot, if you would.
Oh, okay. Hundreds and hundreds of beavers. It's a heartwarming story of an Applejack salesman, played by Ryan Tews, who loses his business and has to rebuild his life by becoming a trapper. And his adventures as he starts to learn that skill. He encounters love with the trapper's daughter, who reciprocates it, but her dad kind of sets a price for her hand, and 3 guesses as to what that price is, as evidenced by the title. And that meager description doesn't even begin to describe what this film is. Like, it's a black and white slapstick silent movie cartoon. Oh my god. With also sort of like B movie if you're into furries or mascots. I don't know where to begin, because it's like from the very start of it, from the very start to the end, I was like laughing nonstop. The inventiveness of it, the gags is I guess people will say, like, of a certain age, Airplane, where that was just sort of like nonstop gags. It's kind of like that, except that there are no dead spots in this movie. I was literally just kind of dying laughing, begging for it to just kind of stop, but not wanting it to stop. It's amazing. I said at the time, and it's been about a year since I saw it. It was like the best thing that I saw all of 2023, and I still, despite like things like Oppenheimer and Barbie, and I still say it's one of the best movies that I've seen. I'll go as far as saying the last 5 years. It's amazing. So
Yeah,
go see it.
I'll chime in a little bit. I loved your opening plot description. Makes it really sound like something, a real serious coming of age event for our Jean Kayak, the name of the protagonist there. I've had the good fortune of now seeing it 3 times, twice at Fantasia and once at a local cinema, and it was very good every single time. Because as Rob said there, it's nonstop, and so I had the benefit of seeing things that I couldn't possibly have hoped to pay attention to the first or even second time, to catch the rich tapestry of madcap that is woven by Cheslik and Tews as director and star, and together the creators of this item. So also highly recommended by me. Definitely one of the best movies at Fantasia when I was there, and I caught 52 screenings, so I would know. And the duo that we're about to chat with, real fun, swell fellas, and eminently approachable, and very much like this movie. I'd rate it a hard PG. This is the kind of thing that I'm not related to anyone I would be ashamed to bring this to revel in its fun.
All right.
It's safe for kids. I would say hard PG, although if you've got young kids, it's safe. It's pretty much safe to bring them along. Some of it they won't get, but there's nothing like too questionable.
They can grow into it.
All right. And so with that, through the magic of editing, we are going to bring on Mr. Ryan Cole, Tews, Brickson the third, and Mike Cheslik. See you in just a second. Thanks. And there we go. Hi. And as promised, we have our special surprise guests, Mike Cheslik and Ryland Brickson Cole Tews of Hundreds of Beavers, and Giles and Robert are going to ask the questions. I'm just going to sit here and observe amusedly. So go ahead, Robert. I think you have a question to start for the
Okay, good to see you again, Mike. I saw you last year at the Kansas City Festival.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, good to see you. I'm glad we're getting to talk. Thanks for helping us get the word out.
Oh, no problem. It's so I've been following you guys for like the last year, and so I'm glad to kind of see it on a wider basis. First question that I have to ask you is that since you had so much success on the festival circuit, is that what led to you guys deciding to distribute the movie yourselves, or?
Yeah, the self-distribution is just, well, first of all, it's just fun to build a company with your friends. And so we just wound up taking on more of the distribution elements ourselves than we originally planned. But it's been good. It's been fun. And we have the people that raised the money in Milwaukee, or SRH, this marketing company, are already a marketing company. So they were able to do a lot of the things in-house that you'd usually want from a distributor. And so Kurt, our producer, has been doing a great job putting together marketing materials within his existing company. And we figured that really just the Kyle Hilton poster would take us the rest of the way. So we've been booking our own theaters with our booker, Jessica Rosner, and doing a little road show. And it's taking a while. That's tiring, but it's really a pleasure to kind of own something yourself and do it yourself. So now we're in, I don't know, I think 4 million theaters that we've booked all independently.
Yeah, I know that you guys opened up in Kansas City today, and I guess some other dates in the Midwest. Do you got when you guys started in January, you saw that you were doing the road shows where you make appearances? Do you still have plans to do some of that?
We're going to do a few in LA. We're going to do the 15th, March 15th through the 19th. We're going to do some shows. It's just a little comedy and wrestling. You're not missing much if we're not there. You can do your own comedy and wrestling in the theater. I give you all permission, but now it's more normal screenings. But I would still say you want to see this with a group in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more fun. You know, just classic slapstick. It's better when everybody's kind of laughing together with a beer.
Okay.
Was that the question? Did I answer the question? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a road show in the Great Lakes area that was 14 theaters. We did all of America from Duluth to Rochester, New York.
Okay. I think you answered that with the marketing campaign, which is brilliant with all the references. You mentioned this Milwaukee company SRH. Are they the ones that handled the campaign, or is that something that you guys basically came up with, or?
It's all their work. All the marketing stuff is not us. It's Kurt Ravenwood at SRH, and he's done an amazing job. And all the material is his team at SRH, and the copy and the social posts and the whole rollout. And they looked carefully at how they wanted to choose distributors. And are we saying that we're on Fandor yet? Do people know? Is that public knowledge?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to start. That's where it first drops.
Yeah.
Fandor on April 1st, and then from there it'll become more widely available on some other platforms. And then this summer it'll be available on Blu-ray.
But all these things, it didn't all go with one distributor. It's a weird release that's divided between a couple of companies, and then internationally rep by Raven Banner out of Toronto. And so, but we kept a lot of stuff internal. Like we're doing our own merch and we're doing our own theatrical rollout, which has been very rewarding. And by rewarding, I mean we got money for it.
You can afford that mustache, I bet. It's nice.
Well, to that much that you got money, I've been following you guys since Lake Michigan Monster, and picked up the Arrow Blu-ray. And I guess question is like, starting from the Lips web series, and then the jump in quality to Lake Michigan Monster, and then now to Hundreds of Beavers, and all done with little to no budget. I guess the next step is with the 100 of Beavers. Will this convince people to kind of let you guys have a little bit more money and what you're going based on what you've accomplished so far.
Yeah,
And
I
we'll
hope
not ruin it.
Yeah, no, I hope we can just keep taking steps forward and just have, millions and have the quality go up. But also, if you do things for cheap, you can sometimes prove to people that you don't need much money, and then they think, well, I'll just do that again. So the Beavers was a one-time deal, Hollywood. We're never making a cheap movie again. All our rates just went up to $1 million per crew member. The grip needs $1 million. The DIT person needs $1 million. I need $1 million. So the leap forward so far has been, jumping from a $5,000 movie to a $7,000 movie to whatever Beavers cost. But the next jump, we all are no longer in our 20s, and the next jump has to be serious, and we're going to be real professional filmmakers starting now.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm hoping for more of a Merchant and Ivory kind of feel for your all your future productions, because I think you could do a lot for mid-level melodrama on the screen, considering your past with slapstick comedy.
I think it's the same fundamentals apply to both melodrama and to slapstick, which is that, it seems like something normal is going to happen, and then a guy gets hit and falls down and does a giant pratfall, which is true of both genres.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that in Knight of Cups.
You think Knight of Cups is melodrama? Is that what you're saying right now? What was the question, Giles?
Oh, I didn't have one. I can pose one if you'd like. This is like an officially like theater thing, because you had the traveling show. Now it's a bunch of screens, as you said, 4 million. You've got a little bit of.
It's always been official. The movie
Okay.
has always been official. At no point, it's been a real movie from the beginning. It's a real movie now, and it'll still be a real movie. But
Yeah, poor phrasing. Let me restate that in a slightly different way then. It is now a more traditional release, as in a bunch of simultaneous things, as opposed to a string of dates scattered around through, as you said, the important parts of America.
totally, yes. We're now in a general theatrical release. I don't know how many theaters. I think I ballparked it at 4 million early. That I might have been coming a little bit hot with that guess. Are the other members of the PG Wodehouse fan club going to be joining us, Giles?
They're getting ready for high tea, so unfortunately not. It's only me this afternoon. Oh, well, of course, with L. Rob Hubbard here, who has been an enthusiast for a long time now.
About a year. It's been about a year. About a year since you guys played the festival. And I will say that the review, all the recent reviews, I saw the recent review in Variety, and it seems that so just to kind of touch on it, this whole controversy with Coyote versus Acme thing, it seems that you're kind of filling that gap. So you're filling that gap pretty nicely. So, and for a lot less money, in comparison.
Yeah, no, it's really benefiting us, and I'm proud to announce, orchestrated the deletion of that movie.
Part of that inside job I've been hearing rumors about. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, that was us.
It's part of the release. Every indie movie's release strategy should be to piggyback off a major film, like we did with The Lighthouse and Lake Michigan Monster.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you also are saving yourself the trouble, because at the budget level you're working, you're far less of a tax write-off. So that's got to be some security you appreciate.
The IRS is unaware of our LLCs so far.
So I have a question. Based on the trailers don't reveal much of the film, but they're mainly like the old Eraserhead and Pink Flamingos one, where they focus on the audience reaction instead of giving away the film. Is Hundreds of Beavers actually a cult? Not a cult film, but a cult.
Yes. The hope is that it's a cult. Well, it is also, I hope, a cult film that people will bring their own in-theater activities to. And I know you're asking about a cult, but just because the topic of cults came up, I do want to address, I hope it is a cult film where people make mischief in the theaters, wear costumes, throw things. Silent film, you could talk during it. I think you all have my permission to talk during the film. And hopefully there's a Rocky Horror Picture Show style list of intrusions at these screenings.
I could see like so I wonder if there will be a run on beavers on beaver costumes from like local costume shops where you guys will be playing. So
Yeah, I think it's public IP too, so we don't even have to be involved in that. And then when the beaver costume prices go up, I mean, I'm just saying invest now. Rylan, did you want to talk? Because I prefer you didn't, but
I don't talk in the movie, so I don't know why I'd talk.
Yeah. It's. I have a question. If you can reveal the information, at this age where physical media is being relied on more and more. You mentioned a Blu-ray release. Now, Lake Michigan Monster got a very good treatment from Arrow Video, I believe.
Mhm.
Yes, and I was curious. Can we expect another Cadillac serving with all those amazing behind-the-scenes stories? Compelling interviews with either of you two or any of your beaver or bunny or raccoon cast. Is you've pulled out very many stops. Is that a trend we can expect to continue?
yes, we promise another Cadillac of Blu-ray releases. We intend to compete with the 3 extended edition Lord of the Rings Blu-ray release. And we've already recorded commentaries that are labeled commentary, drunk commentary, wasted commentary, wasted commentary, moderated, and morning after remorseful hungover commentary.
I'm looking forward to that one. That sounds fantastic.
I would just start with that one if you want to still like us.
And presumably there'll be the movie will be several hours longer, yes, with including
Yes.
everything that's been poked at. Because I've seen it 3 times, twice at Fantasia, which was a delight, and then once there was a little special screening in a city near where I live, and I believe I saw or noticed some differences. When did this film get finalized, or am I perhaps just imagining things?
But 2 things can be true.
That's
The film was incomplete, and you imagined things. The film is done for sure forever. But the Blu-ray release version will be a runtime that's twice as long because every gag will just play twice. As an homage to Hong Kong style Jackie Chan editing where they just show the mall jump twice.
Excellent. Hey, I would love to talk forever, but I'm afraid of burning my credibility with your publicist by going too long. So it looks to me like we have taken up our allotted time. So unless there's anything you guys want to say on the way out, I'll let you.
You've got 2.5 minutes. Make them count.
All right, go. Let's go. 2.5 minutes. Rapid fire.
Are we talking questions or an amazing pitch?
Questions.
Go for it, Rob.
Okay. Well, no, I just have a comment for Rylan about his stamina. There's a sequence when he's in this box going down this massive hill of snow that was just sort of like really impressive in terms of like I know probably in terms of shooting because it's actually you, and I'm just wondering. I hope that you didn't have to do that too many times.
We did it once. And we had the box on the top of the hill, and Mike's only direction was just do your best to get that box down the hill. However that might be, just get it down there as fast and as efficiently as you can, action. So yeah, I just tried my damnedest to get that box down the hill, and I thought halfway through, oh, it'd be funny if I crashed into the box, fell into the box a couple of times, because that's just funny, but yeah, I mean, it was just like one take. And because the thing is, even if the take had been bad, ain't no way we're going to drag that box back to the top of the hill and do it again. That would have taken hours to do. I mean, that was a big ass, heavy ass box, and there was like 2 feet of snow. So thankfully we more or less got the shot.
I hope they had a hot toddy ready for you afterwards. afterwards. They're a
Oh,
little
yeah.
nervous.
Oh yeah, there was hot toddies, there was Irish coffees on set constantly.
Not Applejack?
Giles, how is your boss, Mr. Burns, doing?
Still alive for
Good.
now.
Give my
Thank you for
regards to
asking.
the sea captain and the rest of the characters of The Simpsons.
Yes, how's the Leptorium doing?
I have twice been accused of being, quote, a goddamn cartoon, which is the cleaner of the two times that that's been mentioned. So, so it is an honor for as a cartoon to speak to Ryland here, who performs very similarly. So.
Was
Yeah.
Dudley
I should-
Do-Right
I should-
an influence on this movie?
Oh,
What?
Was Dudley Do-Right an influence on this movie?
No.
Okay. Didn't think so.
yeah. Good cover there. Excellent. Well,
Okay.
I mean, we spoke at length, gosh, this past summer, so at Fantasia, and so thank you again, both of you, for speaking some more with us. It's always been a pleasure, and I'm guessing our 2.5 minutes is 30 seconds over, unless I'm mistaken.
26, actually.
But you know, Giles, thank you for buying us lunch in Fantasia for Lake Michigan Monster. Thank you again for buying us lunch at Fantasia for Hundreds of Beavers. We can't wait for you to buy us lunch in Fantasia in 3 years.
Yeah, that's I already have it marked on my calendar, so that's going to be a treat.
All right,
You
thank you
never
to
bought
the
me lunch,
366
Giles.
Mafia.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you
you want to
very
come along, Justin? I'm happy to buy you lunch too.
All righty. Well, thank you, fellas.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you again.
Love
Good luck
you.
out there.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.